Alright, I'm going to start off with a quick little short story. Fill you all in on what's been happening with me and my quarantine, and a continuation of the longest running Pint Party saga. Probably. You reckon it is, actually? It's got to be the longest running Pint Party saga.
It probably is, but I mean, hopefully
It's the most consistent.
It's the most consistent, I'll give it that. I reckon in every 10 episodes, I at least have one of these stories.
Yeah, I'd say, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I was on the phone with my father the other day.
Oh, here we go.
Okay. And we're just general chit-chatting, right? Because obviously, it's no surprise. We're all in lockdown. We're just catching up on the gimmicks of the world. China's doing very well. So we're just catching up, and he's asking me, how's the lockdown going over there? Are you okay? Are you staying on top of things? Are you going out and you getting exercise? General chit-chat.
Did he check in on the penis?
He stopped checking on the penis after he realized how often I use it. So he's like, oh no, the penis isn't working well. I no longer need to ask my son about his penis. So we're just general chit chatting. He's doing his fatherly duties, of course. Catching up with me. And I'm telling him, I'm doing okay, but what I'm really struggling with is, the fact that there's no gym. I'll touch on it as we get deeper into the show, because I got a bit of a little emotional PSA to hit on. But I was like, there's no gym. It sucks. I'm losing weight. I'm losing all this muscle mass, yada yada yada. And then this motherfucker, he hits me back, and I'm not even fucking kidding you. Not even kidding you. He goes, oh, you're missing gym, huh? Oh, you're missing gym. And then all I hear is the sound of weights clanking. He's turned his phone onto loudspeaker, and he's like, oh, this entire time I've been in the gym, son. Right? And he just starts working out. He's just like, you missing gym? He's like, and then he starts telling me oh, you missing gym, man? I recently just had a couple more weights put in. A couple more. I recently just expanded the weight range and the dumbbells. I've added a bench, and I'm currently working out. I'm doing a pec fly on my cable cross machine. How are you, David? Are you walking? Are you staying active? And all this time, he's literally just clanking weights. And he's doing it in the most smart-ass way possible, rubbing it right in my face that I'm missing gym. And at that point, I was just like, two things dawned on me. One, this man is an absolute cunt. And two, that's probably the reason why I'm a cunt. And welcome to Pint Party.
With that, welcome to Pint Party, a podcast that I'm going to be and chat into a tax write-off. I'm your host, John McLeish. Joining me this week is emotionally detached father, son of David Yang, and the prodigal daughter returns once again, JJ, featuring her right leg. Welcome.
Thank you. From me and my leg that my phone is currently balanced on. I appreciate that introduction.
Yeah. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree in the Yang household.
No, it really doesn't.
He's an asshole and I'm an asshole.
But if it makes you feel better, Dave, the what did he call it? The cross fly fishing thing he was doing.
No, the tech deck. He's aware of the machine.
Yeah. The tech deck. So when he's doing
what the fuck, tech deck?
Yeah. So when he's doing that, he's probably only lifting 10 or 12 kilos. You can probably do twice that.
Oh, see, now John's playing the psychological torture on me, JJ. He knows I've lost muscle mass, so he's just like, oh, David, remember when you could lift heavy weights? Well, fuck you, John, I can't anymore.
Well, I honestly think that everyone knows you've lost muscle mass because you won't shut up about it.
That's true.
I feel like I'm allowed to talk about that. I feel like I'm allowed to air my grievance with the fact that I'm losing muscle mass. I think everyone who is in the situation that I am in, without a gym access and without the ability to expand their home and use gym equipment, I feel like they're allowed to as well.
You know what though, Dave? I feel like I wasn't calling you out. I was trying to make you feel better, but I am now actually going to call you out a little bit because I'm gonna give you a piece of. We're talking about fatherly kind of advice. I'm going to give you a piece of grandfatherly advice that was given to me by my grandfather, who was an unarmed combat instructor in World War II. And those
good, and I'm going to debunk that from an actual biological, physiological standpoint.
And them bastards didn't have two pennies to rub together. I'm not even kidding. In the beginning of the war, they were learning to use rifles with wooden sticks because they didn't have enough to go around. He said that anything you can do in a gym, you can do at home. So if you want to make gains at home, the only thing stopping you is you.
Yes. Now, there's a difference between everything that I can do in a gym, I can do at home, and there's a difference between everything I can do in a gym and also make gains at home. There's a big difference between those two. I obviously can do everything that I was doing in a gym and doing it at home, but I can't do it at the intensity nor the weight that I was doing it when I was doing it in the gym.
You got heavy stuff around your house?
I have a couch.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And a TV.
I'm not going to lift my fucking TV. I don't have insurance on it. What if I drop it? I drop weights all the time in the gym.
Oh well, I mean that's
Of course you do.
Drop weights all the time in the gym. I get angry. I finish my set and I go, ah! What if I like I'm in the zone and I'm lifting and I finish my set of 12 on the TV, but then like muscle memory kicks in and it's just like, wait, David, in the gym you're allowed to like throw the weights on the ground because like that's your like way of telling all the other gorillas around you that you finished your heavy set, bro. So I'm holding my TV, I finished my 12 and I'm like, oh wait, quick, muscle memory kicks in, drop my TV on the ground and loudly grunt like, yeah.
So
and then just quickly I snap back like, oh wait a minute, that wasn't a 50 kilo dumbbell.
So a gym related question. As someone who was going to the gym and spending more time in the weight section, when a dude is finishing his set and he starts grunting and then throws the weight on the floor, is that basically him just waving his dick about going, hey, look at me, I did this?
Yes. Now, but let me speak on this because I love this topic, all right? Because there's a difference. And there's a certain point where you hit a threshold, and once you pass that threshold, it becomes acceptable. Right, okay. Because you'll get a lot of, and like this is from a gym buff perspective. Obviously, you're going to have a John perspective where it's someone who just doesn't go to the gym, and you're just going to be like, I hate people that grunt anyway. But from a gym person's perspective, you have respect for the person who's grunting once they pass the threshold. You don't really have respect for that 20 to 30 kilo dude who's sitting on the bench and just pressing the bar. Right, and then he's grunting really loudly. But I'm going to draw the distinction and say he's grunting really loudly, obnoxiously, because if you're really doing that kind of weight, you're not actually grunting unironically, all right? But there's a difference between that, and then there's a difference between the 150 kilo guy who's benching 300 kilos on the bench press and grunting for a set of 3, right? At that point, you respect it because it's like to grunt or to exert energy or to exert noise is a genuine like strategy of, you know, getting more out of you, right? To get more strength out of you, to be able to push that last rep out. You're not doing that if you're doing 12 reps. You're just not. All right. Like that's called hypertrophy. If you're in the hypertrophy range, you're using your muscles to the ability that they can be used. You shouldn't have to be grunting. However, if you're doing strength training, right, it's a very fast twitch and you're only doing a small amount of reps, you need to be able to get all of your energy out in those 3 reps. So you're grunting then, right? That's when grunting is utilized.
Okay, because I have witnessed in the gym before, like on those cable pulling machines.
Yeah.
There's like 2 of them next to each other. And there were these 2 dudes on there who had both of the headphones in, obviously didn't know each other. They were both, I think, they looked like they were lifting about the same amount on the cable.
Yeah.
And they were both trying to out-grunt each other to the point where I thought that Maria Sharapova was playing tennis behind me.
Exactly.
Like, it was insane.
Yeah, like that at that point there.
What are you doing?
You look at them and you just go, you dickheads, right? Like, you're absolute dickheads. But like, you can't do much about it. But as long as you just look at them going, they're probably like twigs, right? Like 60, 70 kilos between them, like, and they're not really lifting much, and they're probably actually doing hypertrophy. At that point, you just go, whatever, all right? But you got to be able to draw the distinction between that and then the guy who's over there, like 300 kilos, right? He's doing shrugs, he's doing cable curls, he's doing whatever, right? And he's earned that right. Because you look at him, you look at that bloke and you go, yeah, he's earned that right to like genuinely lift these weights and then drop them. That's from a gym boss perspective. Like, as someone who's gone for so very long, who's been in the industry for a very long time, like when I walk into a gym and if I had a guy, let's say I had 2 guys lined up at the dumbbell racks, right? One at one end, one at the other end. Already I can tell the difference. One at the one at the other, because one end has the lighter weights, one end has the heavier weights. If the guy at the lower end who's doing the little weights throws his weights on the ground, guarantee you 100% of the people in that gym who have been in a gym longer than 20 minutes look at him and go, you're a dickhead. However, if you look at the other guy at the other end of the dumbbell section and he's shrugging 50 kilos each arm and he drops that weight, 100% can guarantee you everyone in that gym who's been in a gym longer than 20 minutes in their entire life goes, respect, bro. Because you can't do that. So you respect that person. However, you're not really respecting the person who's shrugging 2.5 kilos and doing it for 12 and then just drops it. Because you just don't do it, man. You just don't do it in the sanctuary of the gym.
Cool. Now I know.
Yeah.
About grunting etiquette.
Once again, though, there is like, and then to add on top of that, just to quickly wrap up the gym conversation, if that heavy guy who's lifting the heavy weights throws the weights down, but it like there's an acceptable level, all right? There's still an acceptable decibel range to have the weights clang and then you grunting afterwards. If he's screaming down the gym, that's not on. However, if he's in his zone and he's just exerting a general grunt and the weights, he hasn't thrown them, but more or less dropped them, bro, that's his way of letting y'all know and anyone around, man, I just did a really heavy set. And like gym etiquette, gym protocol, like gym convention, whatever you want to call it. I've done it before. I've had people come do it to me. I've gone up to people and I've done it. You know, I've had people come up to me after like my highest ever deadlift was about 280 kilos. Right. And I got that up for about 1 or 2. The second one was dirty as fuck, but I got it up for 2. And when I dropped it, right, because it's a heavy fucking weight, and I dropped it and I grunted, I had about 7 different people in the gym come up to me and go, bro, sick. That was dope. Right. Because they heard the drop and they were watching me do it. You respect that. You respect the drop. You respect the grunt. That's why I really love these conversations, because you get people who really, you know, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying like there are people who like, you know, you watch videos on YouTube, right? And you see all these like people like, oh, these fucking gym guys are so obnoxious, fucking grunting. Oh my God. It's like, yeah, there's a difference between that and like a genuine person who's like lifted a very fucking heavy weight that I guarantee none of y'all could do, right? And he's picked it up, done it, dropped it, and he hasn't done it in a dickhead kind of way. You show respect to that because he's earned that. He's earned that respect. It's the same thing of like, in sports, you know, basketball, like any kind of sport, really, you know, get a 3-pointer in, or you hit a touchdown, you slap the dude on the ass. It's just convention in the sport to show praise in that way, and that's an extension of praise in gym is the grunt, and you come up to him and you go, bro, that was sick, man.
See, you just said slap on the butt, and now all I can think of is the Friends episode with Chandler's boss whacking him on the butt all the time. That's all I can think of.
Oh yeah, every fucking sitcom has done that one up, because like, and it's a very old school convention, like 70s, 80s, 90s, where it was very like, yeah, you get a slap on the ass. You still see it today, but because of like, you know, the very political correctness movement of like society, you know, you don't see it as much because people are just like, don't slap his ass.
I mean, it took me back to high school, because when I was on the debate team, I went to like the private school to because that's where they hosted the debates. And at the end of the debate, we all like shook hands. You know, you walk down the line, shake hands, and then like it had never happened to me before in my life. They slapped me on the bum, and coming from a state school where any form of perceived homoeroticism was tantamount to extreme violence. It was not a good moment for me.
No.
Even though like for me personally, I couldn't give a toss. I really don't care. But like in that environment, I was like, hang on a minute, what the hell are y'all, you know, trying to get at? And then it was only when I went home and I talked to my dad about it, I'm like, Dad, this thing happened to me. So like, they touched me on the bum and like
he touched my butt.
Like what's like I wasn't like, you know, offended or anything. Well, I mean in the moment I was like, oh, you know, somebody looking to get decked. But like after like a second later, I was like, what the heck just happened? Like obviously it wasn't intended as an offense. It was a compliment. And then my dad had to explain to me, oh yeah, it's a thing that like, you know, private school kids do. They do that like rugby teams. It's an old, very, very old tradition. I'm like, oh, that's probably why we don't do that.
It's not even private school. It's sports in general. Like it's like that, because it's the, you know, I don't want to speak into the science of it, but like, you know, the primordial aspect of it, like you're so hopped up on testosterone that you just want to show affection in that kind of way, and it goes back, I would argue, fucking longer than the 70s. You're probably going back into the 1800s of sport.
No, it's even older than that. Yeah, it's like
even older. But that's what I'm saying. It's like it's such a commonplace in sports. But then it only started to get like attention negatively when like, you know, sports started to really become commercialized. Right, when you started to in the 90s, right, when your basketball started to make its way onto national television and then international television, the American sports started to move away from just national and then internationally. Everything became so international and globalized. And then it was in the eyes of everyone. And then that's when people outside of the demographic of sports people saw it. And they're like, what the fuck is that? Right. And that's where it started to become like, you know, this question, which I just don't think it should ever be a question. It's like, that's not, yeah, it's not, it wasn't your demographic. If you're not in that sphere, then arguably you shouldn't have too much. You can have a say, you can have an opinion, but it shouldn't just carry much force. It shouldn't carry much weight. because that's their convention.
It was just a surprise, and also like keep in mind that like I mean you're right. I'm not a sports person, but like debate team was my jam. Right? Like of the sports, and that was the first time that it happened to me at any debate, and I'm pretty good at the debating. And
I respect that actually. The fact that there was someone else on the debate team who would arguably either is into sports or watches sports, and he's just going fuck it, like we've had a good debate. And
no, it was the whole team. It was the whole team.
Yeah, fuck.
Incredible. Love it.
The whole team did every one by one. And I was like, do I do this? Like after the first one, I thought was like issuing a physical challenge, and then the second guy did it. And I went, hang on a minute, this is like what the hell's going on here? And then by the third guy, I was like, do I do it too? And then by the fourth guy, I patted him on the bum, and I'm like, I really don't. Am I doing this right? Like, be gentle. It's my first time. It's like I had no idea what I was doing, and he didn't give a shit. He was just like, yeah, bro, just like it's like shaking hands, man. And I was like, okay, cool.
All right.
Because I reckon there's some obvious situations where let's just say competition in general, whether it's debating, sports, or whatever, where it's just like, okay, the arse slap probably not on. Winning the presidential election probably not on to slap the ass of your opponent, being like, hey, good debate, man. Slap on the ass, right? But I think your debating situation is perfectly borderline, where it's like you can get 50% of people who go, probably not the best to have the arse slap in this particular competition. But then the other 50% of people going like, yeah, no, it's probably a good usage of the arse slap in this area.
No, I'm cool with it. I'm down with
the arse slap, man.
The thing I really want to express is that in the moment I didn't know what was going on, and that was
of course.
Oh, yeah.
Since then, since I knew what was going on, it didn't bother me in the slightest. And like, and for me, you know, I mean, debating is a different kind of sport. Like it uses your body in a different way. Instead of using, you know, your leg muscles, you're using the big muscle inside your skull.
Oh yeah.
And so like you treat it the same way. And you treat it like a sport, and you be just as sportsman-like in all aspects. Like you win gracefully, you lose gracefully, and all the rest of it. And if all those rules apply, then the butt slapping rule applies.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. I'm sitting here in my head. I'm just like, you know, it's not too long in the distant future that I'm probably going to be representing people in court and going to trial and doing all that kind of stuff.
Probably don't do the butt slap in court.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm sitting here, I'm just like, oh, look, maybe I can push the boundary a bit and kind of like, I'll obviously be held contempt of court for the first couple of times. But maybe if I try and steer into it, you know, change the system, and like every time I get a bit of a name about me, it's like, oh, when you fight David, you got to beat him, because if you don't beat him and he wins, or you have a really close competition or a really close like trial, he will come up to you and he'll be like, hey man, good trial. And he'll give you a nice firm grasp on the ass.
Well, now hold on. It's supposed to be just a tap, but you're not.
Oh yeah, just a tap. But like, you know, this is where.
Don't be groping people, Dave.
I grew up playing basketball, and there's a couple of situations where ones that you got to be cheeky with, and because you're right, you do the slap on the ass. It's like a less than 1 second contact, but you'll get some of the more audacious blokes that'll come up to you and they'll give you the ass slap, and they'll hang on to it for a bit. They'll hang on to it for about a second and a half, and there might be a bit of a squeeze. Right now, at that point, I think we're really pushing the envelope to what's acceptable ass slap celebration there. But that does exist.
As someone who's never experienced this whole area of ass slap celebrations in sport, where's the boundary of where the ass slap celebration is acceptable? Like, if someone wins a really great game of Monopoly, can you then do the ass slap?
Are you okay? If you're saying wins a really great game of Monopoly, are they getting up for like a celebration? As in, like, because you're sitting down when you're playing Monopoly. The ass slap. Like, if you have to go out of your way for the ass slap, guys. I think if you're going out of your way for the ass slap, in situations like that, then the ass slap is questionable.
I feel like it comes down to, it seems to be like very much a thing in a team sport. So to kind of combine both of what you two were talking about, like a sport that requires sitting down. Let's say esports. Could you do it in esports? And I think you could. Like, I mean,
but I think you're going out of your way, because then you got to take the headphones off.
No, but you're doing that anyway. But you're doing that anyway. That's what I'm saying. Like in the Overwatch League, at the end of a match,
you get up and
they get up and they shake hands.
Yeah,
you know what? I'm 100% with it. That sport deserves the arse slap. Then
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I like that. Yeah.
If any sport at the end of it, you go up and you shake hands with your opponent in some way, then I think the arse slap is acceptable, which actually theoretically means that it's actually also acceptable in chess.
Very acceptable in chess.
Oh, I'd love to see that in chess.
I think it could be done in chess.
I love it. I'd love to see some of the really upper dudes who are like world champions, and they're a very particular person, get up and it's just like, you've had a really good game. It's just like, really good one. And then it's just like you watch them both go in for the ass slap. I want to see the ass slap in more areas.
I mean, yeah. I think I think like it probably would expand into more sports, and it probably will as time goes on. It probably just disappeared just because of like homophobia and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think darts is the perfect sport for the ass slap.
Darts is the perfect sport for everything.
Yes.
I know it is.
Got a
Darts
gimmick?
is amazing, but
Throw it on darts.
you're already in that environment where the audience is basically in a pub anyway.
Yeah. Darts and bowling. Darts and bowling are
Darts
two
and
perfect
bowling.
like experimental sports.
Perfect.
Doesn't it already happen in bowling? I swear it does.
It probably does. It probably happens in darts too. Because like,
Probably.
think about those kind of people that play ball. They're probably already into like American football or basketball, where this is so prominent anyway. So like them slapping on each other on the ass, probably not out of the realm of impossibility.
No. For darts people, it'd come from rugby.
Rugby,
Yeah, the rugby thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, the oldest example I know of it is from the old rugby schools in England in like 1500, 1600 or something.
Yeah, probably. I'm not questioning the history of it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that it's definitely part of the sports realm.
Yeah.
Right? Like we've adopted it.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves to be in more places.
Oh, for sure.
I'd love to be able to finish a group presentation at uni and turn to my team and go, "Good job," slap on the ass.
Yeah. Actually, no. Yeah. I'll give that to you. Yeah. Okay, I'd accept that if you knew
Like
your
that's
team.
enough of a hard job to.
If I knew my team,
warrant
if
that.
I knew my team,
And-
I'm not gonna.
and it's
you know,
gotta
the
be
new
legit.
recruit comes in, I'm gonna slap. No, I'm probably not gonna slap them on.
No, but it's got to be legit as well. It can't be like I feel like the same etiquette that applies with grunting at the gym applies in this situation when it comes to a team presentation. You know, like it's got to be something where it wasn't like something that like you slapped together the morning of, like you and I did, Dave, with our social media presentation. Right? It's got to be something that you've like legitimately worked on for weeks. Like the presentation I gave, my final presentation at uni, which I spent like 12 weeks working on, like something like that. An ass slap would have been acceptable. But like what you and I did, Dave, just like having a gimmick in front of like a classroom full of people that we then live streamed onto the internet, like yeah, that's probably not ass slap worthy.
No, completely agree. The effort needs to be there. You're not going to ass slap a half-assed performance, right? Some guy strikes out in the first 5 minutes of of baseball, right? Like, it completely gets batted out. I'm not going to slap him on the ass.
Yeah, no.
Right? Like, you didn't earn that ass slap, bro. You got to earn the warmth and firmness of my hand on your butt.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's right. Yeah, it's got to be like if you're getting a duck, you're not getting anything. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it's got to be. So, you know what I really like about this conversation though is if you like look at Pint Party from a macro perspective for a moment. The end of last episode, we were talking about computer components. And then at the beginning of this episode, we're talking about sport. So we've kind of just like given whoever's like binge listening to this is just like experiencing mental whiplash right now, and I love it.
I think it's just a permanent disclaimer needs to be put out ahead of episodes. Going, oh, by the way, David's on this one, so expect a very particular kind of episode.
Oh yeah.
Oh, by the way, Lachlan's on this one. Expect a particular kind of episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, that they're always in there because if you read the descriptions of every episode, people are in it. I think except for one. There was one episode where I didn't do that because I think I wrote the description because I finished editing the episode like an hour before it came out, and I was just like tired and I didn't care. And so I just wrote like a really I was just like, just love each other, man. Just hug each other. Like, that's all you need. You don't need to know what's in this episode. Just give your mum a hug. I think that was all I wrote. Or something like that. I wasn't even thinking at that
Sound
point.
advice. I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So that's what I did there. But actually, okay. So speaking of like, gimmicks and stuff, David, I want to, okay, hang on. First of all, I don't want to preface. I just want to like make a statement first. So before we get into this, JJ and I are going to be silent for the next little while, okay, Dave? And what I want you to do, Dave, is I want you to walk us through this like step by step. I want to ride this thought train with you, okay? We're on the train with you, but you're the driver. You've got to get us to the station, so you got to get us there, mate. Walk us through your thoughts on the whole concept that putting your socks on before your pants makes you a psychopath.
Okay.
Walk
now,
us
I don't want to, expectations, keep them low, all right? Because the way my brain works, things just pop in, right? Things pop in and out all the time. I don't really have to be in a particular situation for something to just come to my mind. Things just come to my mind, right? So one morning, one morning, I'm pretty sure I wake up at like 9, 10 o'clock. Obviously for someone like me, I sleep relatively, just in my jocks, right? I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit. I just sleep in my jocks. I'm shirtless. I'm pantsless, right? I don't wear socks. Also, just a side note tangent on that: people who wear socks to bed, you're psychopaths too, unless it's literally below 5 degrees at night. All right, you're psychopaths too. So I wake up and I just got yesterday's pants on the ground. I got some trackies in the cupboard, and I got some socks in my drawer. And I'm about to do my gimmicks. And I've always been pants on first. Always have been. Always will be. Because to me, that's just my order of operation, right? I don't think I've ever been taught anything else. Because I can't understand the logic of why you would put your socks on first, right? Why would I want to still have the major part of because my logic here is, why would I still want to have my major parts of my body exposed, right? So I'm gonna have my jocks on. Let's say I don't have jocks on, I still put them on first, obviously, right? But after that, what's the order of operation? Nothing else on. I'm going pants first, and then shirt. Now, for me, and I'm very vocal on the issue of socks, all right? And as we know from this podcast, and one of my longest ever running debates is the sock debate. And this is just kind of an extension of my stiff against socks, is I put pants on first, I put my shirt on first. To me, socks are optional. Socks are very optional. And for that reason is why I don't put socks on first, and nor will I ever put socks on first. And then the follow on from that, if I could live in a world where I didn't need socks, right? Need socks. So I would argue you need socks to wear shoes, because shoes aren't really designed for you to wear no socks in the long run. You can wear no socks with shoes, obviously, but in the long-term gimmick of the shoe and you and your foot health, you need to wear socks. If I could live in a world where I didn't need to wear socks, I wouldn't wear socks. I would not wear socks. I would invent a shoe that would be so comfortable, so supportive, and breathe so well that I would never sweat, that I didn't have to wear socks. That is my dream. Socks are so optional, in my opinion. I'm not walking around the house in socks on. Just to follow on from that as well, right? I'm only ever putting socks on if I need to go outside. Also, my no sock radius is pretty long too. I'll go downstairs to my bin in barefoot to drop off like rubbish, right? But I won't go down to the local cafe barefoot, right? That's what I'm saying. But I will go down to the local cafe in slides or thongs. Another extension of why I'm not having socks on. Socks are optional. That's my logic. That's pants on first.
Okay.
I rest my case.
Okay.
I think we've arrived at the thought station. Thank you for getting us there, Dave. Thank you for being the conductor on this journey. So it raises a few questions for me. The first question being, my understanding of the question was that it was just pertaining to the order of operation, specifically regarding socks and pants, and then you added a shirt to the equation. I'm not sure.
No, because my logic in my head is order of operations. With jocks on, what do you go first and what do you go next? Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
And I added shirt in there to support my point of just how much I'm not putting socks on. Right? Like, why socks? Even if I didn't have the shirt on, socks would be last anyway.
Okay.
Right? I would put a beanie on and blah, 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 blah before I put socks on.
Right. Okay. So, and my second question was relating to the sock radius, because at first I thought I understood what you were saying, but then you threw in sliders and thongs into the equation, and that kind of shifted things for me. So, is your sock radius as far as like where you'll wear like beyond which you will wear socks but not shoes?
No. So when I'm putting socks on, I'm putting shoes on.
Okay. Oh, okay. Right. They go hand in hand. I understand.
But for me, socks and shoes go hand in hand. Right. It's not a stiff to shoes. It's a stiff to the fact that I have to put socks on. For me, putting socks on is a. I'm not saying it's a chore. I'm not saying it's hard. Right. And I used to be a bigger boy, and even then putting socks on wasn't even hard to like get over like the stomach or whatever, right? Like I can understand it from that perspective. But then using that logic as well, that's another reason why I think socks are just stupid too. It's an awkward movement to put the sock on.
I'm on the opposite side.
If I had a person to put a sock on for me, maybe I'd have a different outtake on this.
Okay.
I always wear socks and I always put them on first.
Okay, hold on, JJ. Before you go forward, I'm going to hand you the conductor's hat. We're now
Okay,
on. We're
thank
now
you.
on. We're on your thought train now. Okay. So
Okay.
So David, you and I are the passengers. We're just going to be quiet. JJ, take us to the thought station.
Okay. So I'm going to start by saying I'm one of those people, like many people that I know, that have terrible circulation. So if I don't wear socks and my feet get cold, they actually turn purple and I can't feel them. That's my one reason why I always wear socks. So that's that part of it. Second part, socks on before pants. I have a mixture of socks. I have like those ankle socks and I have like longer socks. I have to put the longer socks on before my pants because I'm so short, I can't actually get underneath my pants to pull up the socks all the way. So I end up with a really chunky ankle and I don't want that. Secondly, as a female, I have to put a bra on in the morning. So for me, bra, undies, and socks go on as one layer of clothing as an entity on its own. And then you put the pants on, and then you put the shirt on. Hence why I'm so adamant that socks before pants is an okay move. Questions are now welcome.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So
I'm going to quickly jump in here before John jumps in.
Okay.
I'm going to put you over with the fact that you've managed to pair socks with underwear. So you've gone, my underwear as an all-encompassing umbrella term is inclusive of bra, underwear, and then socks.
Yes.
I have distinguished that. For me, jocks is just jocks, socks is its own other thing. But I can understand a person who goes, oh, I'm going to consider it as part of my undergarments. You have undergarments, and then you have like first layer, and then I imagine jackets, right? As how a lot of people might view it, and then hats, right? Something like that. You've supplied your logic that way. I respect that. I respect it. And all I'm saying is, it's my opinion. I hate socks. My point of psychopath or sociopath is, if you were to not have that logic there, JJ, I'm gonna take it from the perspective of a person who considers underwear just to be the traditional sense of it, where it's what you wear around your genitals. At that point, there, I'm saying you're sociopathic by the fact that why would your immediate thought be to put socks on rather than your pants first? Like, and I really have no other way of explaining it other than just like, why is your first thought to put socks on when it's not pants, right?
Because
I can't even imagine a world where I would even think to put socks on first.
Okay, I
feel warmer if I put pants on.
I have a counter for.
Nah,
In my room, I have a chest of drawers full of clothes, and in my wardrobe, I have a chest of drawers that top drawer is bras, second drawer is underwear, third drawer is socks. I head to my wardrobe first to grab my top and my underwear in the morning before I go to work. I put that on first, then the top, then the pants. That's also my logic behind that as well. So well thought out.
So you've designed an order of operations then.
But I've always been like that.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I think at the end of the day, it's always going to come down to one's personal order of operations. Mine is wake up out of bed.
Another interesting aspect of this is that I hate wearing socks. And the fact that I have to wear them to stop my feet from turning purple kills me, because I hate socks.
Do you agree with my logic that if you could live in a world where you need to wear socks, you wouldn't wear socks?
100%. Like,
Thank
my favorite pair of socks to wear are like those really fluffy ones that like make your feet feel really warm and toasty, because I count them as part of my pajamas, and they make me feel really comfortable. So like, I'll put over wearing fluffy socks. That's it.
I will always put over gimmick socks. I hate the wearing of socks. I never hate the aesthetic of a sock. I have a bunch of gimmick socks.
So that's what surprised me about your argument, Dave, is that I've seen on many an occasion you go out of your way to buy socks of like that are flamboyant and out there,
like the Birkin socks.
Exactly.
Oh my god,
exactly.
Birkin, and that's why like I have to back myself, because I hate the wearing of socks and the procedure of putting them on. I don't hate the look of a sock. I really actually rate how a sock is designed, because I think it just looks good, right? So I love Christmas stockings, right? Like right off the bat there, like that's how a sock looks like in my head. I rate Christmas stockings. I love it. I would go out of my way to get the most gimmicky Christmas stocking ever. I would also go out of my way to get the most gimmick sock ever. But I just don't like the wearing of socks. I just don't like the way sometimes they feel on my foot. It just doesn't feel right. I'm a natural barefoot person. I grew up barefooted. I grew up in like a house where it's like I had socks, but it's like I'd go outside to play, and to me, I wanted to get there as quick as possible. So I'd run out there barefoot, and I'd get like the bottom of my feet are pretty well done in, where like I can walk across gravel barefoot and I'll be okay, right? Like I grew up barefooted, right? And that to me, and then you follow on that like 15, 20 years, like I just don't like the procedure of putting on socks. So I didn't have to, I never would. And because of that, when my order of operations is, I'll get up, I'll put pants on first. Sometimes I won't even put a shirt on. I'm okay with walking around the house shirtless. And I think also it needs to be prefaced. Consider it from the perspective of, you can do it two ways. First way, look at it from the perspective of you're not going to leave the house. And then look at it from the, okay, I'm waking up in the morning and I have to go to work. So you are leaving the house. In both situations, I'm still putting the sock on last. Before shoes, obviously.
In both situations, I'm still putting the socks on first.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But also, I grew up, to counter to your point of you're always barefoot. I understand that, but I've also was born and raised in the UK, where it's always cold, and you always have to go outside with socks and shoes on, because everything's so fucking wet.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. This is why it's perfect that I'm talking to JJ now, because I think that's a great perspective to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like growing up, it was like if I was going to the beach in the summer, because I grew up in a coastal town, I'd wear sandals. That's fine. When I first came over here in winter, and even if it wasn't like autumn and spring, I'd still wear socks and shoes, and I'd only wear sandals in summer because that's what I was used to.
Like my feet have never betrayed me, but socks have betrayed me. So that's just my final point on that. My final beef point on socks is I'm okay with going barefoot because my feet are fine. Like I can stub it against blah blah blah. I can cut it. Like they're fine. I wear socks. 9 times out of 10, I'm probably putting a hole in it.
I feel that. No, I feel that because I have the same. I have the same kind of love-hate relationship with socks. Growing up as a child, I was always known as Johnny One Sock because my mother in the morning, like this is when I'm like a tiny little toddler just learning how to walk, like just started walking, would dress me and put two sets. She would swear black and blue that she put 2 socks, one on each foot, and about an hour and a half later there's only 1 sock on. And it wasn't even consistent. It wasn't even like John just hates wearing socks on his right foot. No, it was a random foot every single time. It just, for some reason, like 1 sock would just be like, "Fuck you, John," and piss off and leave me alone. And then I thought, oh, that's just a cute little story. And then as I got older and I got old enough to like do my own laundry, I started realizing that like the laundry would fucking eat one of my socks and I'd be like, oh, fucking great. So I've only got 1 sock now. It's gotten to the point where as a 26-year-old man, whenever I do my laundry, I count my socks individually in and I count them out of the washing machine. So like I treat my washing machine like a coal mine. Every sock is accounted for on the way into the machine and they're accounted for again on the way out. And if I got less socks on the way out than I do on the way in, I pull apart my washing machine till I find the fucking thing.
See, that's the other thing with fucking socks, isn't it? Like, you don't plan to ever lose... Okay, for starters, you don't ever plan to lose any item of clothing, arguably. You're never trying to lose an item of clothing. But what's the one item of clothing, of all the items of clothing, that you're going to lose? A fucking sock. But not both socks, 1 sock.
Yep, that's it.
My solution to this problem is I always wear old socks. So I never actually pair them up. So if I lose a sock... I never actually know.
Oh, me too. No, I buy...
To stop the... I'm going to get really pissed off with my washing machine for losing my sock again. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't matter. I'm just not going to count and I'm not going to even pay attention. I'm just going to put them all in my drawer and just grab 2. See if they kind of match.
See, I can't even do that either because like I buy all my socks are all the same color. So like odd socks is just never an issue for me. But the problem is that like I will lose enough socks that it will come down to I will have an odd number of socks in the drawer. So I always pair off. So like when my clothes are dry and I take them off the line, I take 2 socks off the line and I roll them together and that's 1 pair. And I do that for every single pair of socks to maintain that every sock has a buddy. Because if I don't do that, I will lose individual socks. They will just disappear. Like the fucking sock monster comes along and goes, "I see you're on your own there, son," and then has a munch. And it's like, well, fucking great. Now I'm out of sock. So yeah, I have to like defend myself against sock monsters every day of my life. I am the doomslayer of sock monsters.
And it's that logic is the reason why left and right socks don't fucking matter.
Well, it depends on the sock. See,
nah, fuck that. I'm not even dependent on the fucking sock bullshit.
Yes, it does. Toe socks are a thing.
Oh, that's...
Toe socks does matter.
Yeah, all right. But when they're specifically, literally designed to fit the toes of the foot. Because I'm not denying the fact that the toes of the foot are obviously going to be differently oriented. My point with the sock is that it conforms to the foot. Now, toe socks is a different kind of sock.
Okay, so you're
because it is fitting the toes, not the foot. The sock, in main purpose of a sock, is to fit the foot. Doesn't necessarily factor in toes. Toes come in ancillary. That's why they don't fucking matter left and right socks. Toe socks, their primary objective is to fit the toe as well as the foot. So obviously, it's going to factor into the toe situation then.
Okay. So outside of that, then what about for your bog standard sock? I'm inclined to agree with you, but. And then of course we've already discussed the toe sock, so we're not going to go into that. But then what about I honestly, this is something where I genuinely just have absolutely no idea, so I'm just straight up asking this question. What about like athlete socks, like high level athletes? Because you know those. I mean we all saw Kathy Freeman in her jumpsuit, and we all saw Ian Thorpe in his bloody like super high tech sci-fi fucking Buck Rogers Speedos. And so, like, I imagine that people's sock game is on the same level for sports that require one to wear socks. So, what about those? Do those socks exist?
All right, look, I'll take an objective, unbiased standpoint, and I will mention the fact that at an athletic level of socks, and I will preface a high athletic level of socks, then I don't know whether or not it matters.
Me
it
neither.
Probably does matter. But they are very much left and right oriented. Now, in saying that, I've played sports. I've bought sports, quote unquote, sports socks.
That's why I'm asking.
They do label left and right. It still doesn't fucking matter though.
Okay.
You can wear a right on a left foot and like you will not be any more comfortable or uncomfortable had you put it on
I disagree. I used to do athletics in early high school. I was a sprinter and I had to buy like those athletic spikes. And for those shoes, I needed to get a specific pair of socks to go with them because of the way that they were built. I tried wearing normal socks.
Right.
They didn't work. So I had to buy the sports socks. And I tried the whole left and right don't matter. I could not walk properly in those shoes because of the socks. Like they were so uncomfortable. Had to switch them over.
So that's a situation where the sock pairs the shoe, and then that's okay, fair enough.
So
I'll concede to that, to literally that niche is what I'll concede to.
Well, so this is where I don't understand. Like, just JJ, can you walk me through this? Like, so what's like? Because I'm trying to understand what technology would you put into a sock that would enable that function? I'm not fully comprehending.
From my understanding, in an athletic sock, I could be talking out my ass here, but from when I owned a pair of athletic socks. The middle part of the arch of the sock is a different material to the toe and the heel.
Oh.
So it's tighter, so it supports your arch in the shoe. And it's slightly tilted towards, like, it's thicker to the inside of your foot and thinner on the outside of your foot. So if you wear it the wrong way round, it feels really weird.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. That's because that was what was like bugging my brain, because I was like, what? Because when I made the Kathy Freeman Ian Thorpe analogy, I'm like, what technology are they putting into socks? I mean, I didn't even know. I mean, you look at the technology coming out the wazoo on shoes these days. So much so that runners are bloody considering banning certain kinds of shoes. The bloody Nike Fly thingies are going off the shelves. But like, I was thinking about the socks, and I was like, what technology? Like, it's cloth. It's just cloth you wrap around your foot to keep from getting fucking cold.
Thank you.
Like, so what technology you put in there? But what you're saying, JJ, is that you change the type of cloth for certain sections of the foot, and that you basically min-max where the best cloth for what section of the foot is, and that changes the performance of the foot.
Like, I get it, because that makes a genuine like science. Let's use the catch-all term science.
Same with certain types of dancing as well. Like in ballet, people often will put a ribbon around the middle of their foot to go underneath their shoe to help them.
Right, but that's
because it's about like where energy distribution most lies.
Exactly.
Like, think about where your foot lands. That's where the most energy and power gets put on. So you need the most sturdiest part of the cloth there, and then every other parts could be smoother because then it's kind of just like tracing through. I understand it from a sports science perspective. All I'm saying is aside from the niche of having to wear left and right socks for a high level of athletic competition, where like that kind of min-maxing, I guess, really does make or break, like, the top person from the second best person. Other than that, who the fuck cares? It's just cloth wrapped around a foot.
Oh, have I ever told you my theory about why I think left and right socks actually exist?
No, please do. Go on.
Here we fucking go. Look, they exist. They exist literally. They shouldn't, though. Is the point?
No. Whenever I first saw a pair of left and right socks, I went, "Why the fuck is there left and right socks?" And then 2 weeks later, after I saw the socks first, I was with my friend, and we were asking for directions to get somewhere, and they said, "Just turn left at the next street." And my friend tried to turn right, so I'm like, "Wait a minute. Left and right socks. If you look down at some of them have it right on the edge. So that means people can learn which ones are left and right."
Wait a minute though. Okay, unless you're wearing like thongs or slides, why would you be looking down at your feet if you're wearing shoes and going,
because
"Oh, wait a
if you
minute.
put them on in the morning, this is my left foot, this is my right foot. You remember that all day.
Yeah, but I could just use my hands for that."
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I
but
do it.
people are stupid and don't do hands.
But hands are the easiest. You just make
Your hands
L's in your
are the
hands.
easiest way, but people don't do it.
Yeah, but then like you're assuming they're going to remember which sock they put on which foot.
I know.
Like so I think that's a valid point. I think like having an L and an R on a sock is like a good idea to help you remember which way is left and right. That's good. And like for people
also for putting your left and right shoes on. I think that's also part of the reason.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I would have labeled the shoe, not the sock, because I feel like you could still put a left shoe on a right foot.
Yeah, logically you'd label the shoe, but that would ruin the design of the shoe because everyone go, "That looks stupid. I hate it. I want my shoe to be fancy," as people tend to do.
Yeah. Well, see that then you put it on the label inside the tongue. That's what you do.
People don't look at the tongue of the shoe, John.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. I guess unless you're like me or like sneakerheads who probably do. I don't know if sneakerheads do, but I know I do because I want to know what my shoe size is. But that's about it.
That's the aim. Some people look at the tongue of their shoes. So look what size it is. That's it.
True. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I think we've thoroughly like fleshed that out. I think we've had that. I'm actually glad. Really glad that we actually like hashed this out because this has been an ongoing kind of a thing for years now at this stage.
Yeah, this seems like the full stop, but we'll see.
I think so. Like that's what I'm saying. I think
anything's possible.
We've hashed out the full gamut of this sort of conversation. I think we've thoroughly gone all the way down the line, like of thought stations on this one. But that leads us into kind of like greener pastures of pies and sauce. And
so this is my hot one now. This one's gonna be a long-standing gimmick while quarantine lasts.
But I'm confused by it. Like I'm really confused by it because for me,
I got beef with tomato sauce, bro. I got beef with tomato sauce, and I've also got extended beef with barbecue sauce.
I mean, for me though, it kind of becomes it's sort of like immaterial because I mean, for me, like pie and sauce, yeah, of course, but. What sauce you put on is almost immaterial. It sort of doesn't matter. You put a sauce on a pie.
It doesn't matter. It's subjective. Obviously, people are going to be like, "Who the fuck cares about socks?" No.
It's not. No, it's not like that. What I mean is that like is that like when you said, "Should I put mustard on a pie?" I said, "Yeah, of course. Yeah, I do that." And then everybody was like, "Well, you fucking monster." I'm like, "Whoa, hold the phone. Like, what's all this animosity towards
people care, right? People got some opinion. I got strong opinions too. See, I don't blame them.
And like if you don't like tomato sauce, like that's fine. Like my mother's side of the family is a bit weird like that. They're all ketchup people, and I think they're strange. But like, but for me, when I put sauce on a pie, my absolute favorite thing to do, like in the whole world, is to have tomato sauce and mustard on a pie at the same time.
I respect that.
That's like it's a menage a trois of flavor. That's just absolutely beautiful. That's my favorite thing in the world. If I could put a little bit of cheese on top, but we're not talking about that. That's ancillary. We're talking about sauces. That's all great. And actually, what I'm really surprised by, Dave, is that you chose mustard as the flag you wanted to fly in this debate. I honestly thought you'd be arguing for burger sauce on a pie.
I have, and and this is my point.
Yeah, that's what I was confused by mustard as a choice.
Mustard was my Like, because when you think tomato sauce, there's two other sauces. The holy trinity of sauces you probably compare is probably barbecue and mustard, right? When it comes to like the trinity of sauces that everyone knows or relates to, right? It's mustard, tomato, and barbecue sauce. Now, in saying that, that's one of the reasons why I went mustard here. I love mustard, so that I'll take out that reason for starters.
Yep.
One of my reasons was everyone fucks with tomato sauce on pies, right? And like I said it on radio the other day. And I'm going to reiterate it here. I understand the convention and the long-standing history that the pie and the tomato sauce have together. Now, and I'm also going to preface it by saying when I say it's overrated, it's not to say that it's shit. It's merely to say that you need to understand how the definition of overrated comes into play here. To be overrated, it means you are rated above what you should be, right? It doesn't mean you're not rated at all. Right, I think a lot of people get that confused when people say underrated, overrated. It's not to say that I'm not rating it at all. It's merely to say that where it is currently rated generally, I think that's over what it should be. Now, in saying that, I think so many people suck the dick of tomato sauce and forget the fact that this is a piece of like food here that you have chosen to put tomato sauce on, but it doesn't mean you have to put tomato sauce on. You can use other sauces. So the fact that you can use other sauces, why wouldn't you try other sauces? Everyone just seems to have stopped at tomato sauce, right? And this is where my new gimmick is once a week, I'm going to try a new sauce with a pie.
I'm about that. I'm
going to try a new sauce with a pie, right? So I've done burger sauce and mustard so far, and both, in my opinion, are better than tomato sauce on a pie.
My question here is also with mustard, what type of mustard are you talking about?
American mustard.
Mild American.
Because like I would try it, but I only eat the fancy Dijon mustard in the jar. I don't have the squeezy bottle of mustard, and I don't like it. I only like Dijon mustard.
Now that's a journey. That's a journey I'd like to take. Dijon mustard on a pie. That's
you know what, that might be next because I do rate Dijon mustard.
I do. I like a bit
great.
of Dijon.
Like I would have that because it's just spicy mustardy goodness.
Yeah, it just so happened that in my cupboard I had mild, and I was like, all right, that will work because I do fuck on just about anything else as well. I've done Cole's burger sauce. I've done Heinz burger sauce. Both burger sauces work on a pie. Next, I'm going to try tzatziki.
Oh my god!
I'm going to try tzatziki on a pie. I'm going to really test the limits here.
Now hold on, JJ. You say this is a bad thing, but let's think this through. Let's do a thought experiment on this.
It's just the idea of yogurt with a pie. Just
I get it.
Okay,
I really love tzatziki. I love tzatziki, but the idea of it with pastry is.
Okay, so take the pie out of the equation for a moment and focus on the meat. So tzatziki with beef.
Depends on the beef.
Like a really well cooked beef, like really nicely cooked. You know, something
like sautéed.
Sautéed,
right?
you know, something really like
I'm
talking some proper beef here. Right, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And you think about it, you think about a kebab, which I know is not beef, but that's lamb. But it's just it's the similar vein of meat. You're putting yogurty sort of material on that as well, and that's just as good. All we're adding on top of that is a pastry. Is the only kind of discernible difference between the two.
Yeah, my logical brain knows that, but I don't know why I just can't.
I suppose for me though, like the reason why I'm not having a problem is because all of it, like when you zoom out, all of it falls under savory. Whereas, I mean, I suppose, but if you look at pies in general, of course, we're completely ignoring the other side of the equation, which is there are sweet pies, there are apple pies and pecan pies and.
Okay, fair enough.
For the
meat pie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, we're talking about the meat pie. We're Australians. This is Australia. We talk about meat pies. That's what a pie is. And all the Americans out there who are like, you're fucking cooked, mate, with all them. Oh my God, you put meat in your pies? That's fucked. It's like, mate, we don't have a problem with you putting apples in your pies. Like, calm the fuck down. And so, so under the realm of savory things and putting savory things with other savory things, because tzatziki for me is a savory food, it makes sense. And it's sort of like, oh, that might not be too bad. But like, if you were to bring an apple pie in and be like, I'm going to put tzatziki on this, then I'd be like, oh, hold the phone. Like, don't know about that one.
And then following on from that logic, that's why I got beef with barbecue sauce. I actually, if I have to do a tier listing of sauces, hot take, barbecue sauce is F tier.
I'm not a big fan of barbecue sauce. Like, I knew people who went To be fair though, I haven't experienced the full gamut of barbecue sauce. Apparently, there is a range of barbecue sauces out there. Apparently, I mean, the only one I've ever experienced is the Master Foods one. You know, the one that comes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
That's what I was saying. That's
what
my
barbecue sauce are you referring to?
Yeah, exactly.
I respect that point there. I am specifically talking about traditional Master Foods, basic kitchen, the shit that you can pick up off the shelf at any supermarket.
Okay, because I rate Master Foods barbecue sauce as F tier, but other barbecue sauces I rate as like A or A tier. Because
I'm also
a
going to
good
distinguish
barbecue
that.
sauce is.
When I say barbecue sauce, I'm just talking barbecue sauce. I'm not talking smoky barbecue sauce. Now, to me, that's a different kind of sauce entirely.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. That's a different sauce.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. Smoky barbecue, that gets a bit higher. But barbecue, Master Foods or any other ones of that kind of vein, they're too sweet. They're far too sweet.
Barbecue sauce only really works on pizza.
I'll pay that. I'll 100% pay that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. On a chicken pizza, like you'll get pineapple,
meat lovers pizza.
Yeah, meat lovers. Yeah. JJ, you're 100% right. You're 100% right. In that vein, it works completely. It just doesn't work on a pie. I argue it also just doesn't work in sandwiches.
Oh no. Ugh.
No,
just don't.
Well, for me, when it comes to barbecue sauce, my problem was always even on a pizza, people always put too much on. It's not like tomato sauce where you can just drown the bastard in it. You've got to. But that being said, though, I knew people in high school who could without a problem would delight in the fact that they could rip open a bottle of tomato sauce and just chug the thing. And it's I could not do that. But a little bit of barbecue sauce, a tiny little bit, a splash, is really nice. But I couldn't do a pizza amount of barbecue sauce.
I can see that point.
Yeah, a little bit, you like a drizzle. Okay, I could do that, but I couldn't do. And that's what puts me off barbecue sauce, because you don't have that. You can't. It's really hard to control for that when you order food. You can't be like, hey, can you not put in your regular amount of barbecue sauce? Can you only put in a little bit? What does that mean? That's hard to quantify. The only way you can really make sure that you get the right amount of barbecue sauce on whatever you want is if you do it yourself. So as a result, then it just becomes easier to say no barbecue sauce.
Yeah, I
get that.
Yeah, just a roundabout back to it. I put that poll of the mustard on pie. My God, that has got to be the most one-sided discussion I think I've ever had. I know I'm not the only one out there, but based on just people on my socials, boy, do I feel like I'm the only one out there that was fucking with mustard on a pie.
I do.
I got an absolute flaming, which is all the more reason why I think this needs to be brought up.
I didn't realize
because everyone is so entrenched in this concept of only tomato sauce on pie.
Yeah, that is strange.
So are you implying that we need a pie revolution or something?
Yeah, I'm starting a fucking sauce movement on pies. I think we need to start looking beyond tomato sauce.
I feel like that's something that something that'll happen one day. Somebody will open a hipster pie joint somewhere in Melbourne, and it'll be oh, we don't serve tomato sauce in here. We are culinary.
Yes.
It'll be really hoity-toity and douchey, and then it'll
be in Brunswick.
It'll be in fucking right.
Absolutely be in Brunswick.
Absolutely, it'll be in Brunswick or somewhere on Sydney Road. They'll build this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Either Brunswick or Glenferrie. Glenferrie is pretty up there in terms of trying shit out.
Yeah.
I reckon it's more Q. I think Q next door is a bit more upbeat, hipstery. Because
I'd love to know how the internationals fuck with pies and sauces. Well, savory pies, being that,
yeah. Really, realistically, there's only sort of two countries on the planet that have a meat pie as part of their sort of traditional diet, and that's Australia and England, and that's really it.
True, isn't it? Yeah.
The Americans have are aware of the concept of a meat pie, but the reason why the savory pie wasn't a thing for them is because when America was just the original 13 colonies. In the northeast of America, in what is now known as the New England region, they used to grow shitloads of apples, and of course, refrigeration just wasn't a thing. It wouldn't be a thing for hundreds of years. So the best way to keep apples for a long period of time was to preserve them, and then you would have all of these preserved jars of apples, and then you might have a really good wheat harvest and a heap of wheat left over to make pastries. So people who were desperate for like making foodstuffs and just sort of like kind of, I mean, basically doing the classic like rummaging around in the cupboard to make whatever you can. And from that, the apple pie was born. And it became a staple of the American diet because, I mean, like there were periods in early American history where all there was apples and pastry, and that was it. It's sort of like, so you either got into apple pies or you starved. So that's where the sweet pie.
But you also know that savory like meat pies aren't a staple of like American diet when you find it on the menu of an Australian themed chain restaurant called Outback. I have eaten there in Florida a couple of times, and let me tell you, my God.
I've always wanted to go.
They have some really strange opinions on what our country's like.
Oh, yeah, no, it's full on Foster's, that's not a knife, this is a knife.
Oh, you call that a knife?
And they served the wings, which were chicken wings in like a weird sauce.
Oh, the Americans just don't get us. And Australia needs to go over there. And I've had this business proposition. I'm not going to put it on air because it's mine. It's my IP. But I've had an Australian cafe culture.
It's done. It's there. It's in New York. There's a whole place called Little Australia in New York City. It's like
proper Melbourne cafe style culture.
There's proper Melbourne cafe style culture, and I know for a fact there's a proper Melbourne like pie shop where it's an Australian who immigrated to New York and he starts making meat pie, like regular ass, like your standard, bog standard 4 and 20 meat pie. He just makes them on the premises, you know what I mean? It's the only difference.
Good, man.
It's basically like, imagine Pie Face in America. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking on the cafe pie, I will put over the tomato relish.
I was going to say, tomato relish is a different beast entirely.
Yeah. Tomato relish on a pie, and like I've only ever but like where you do it in the wild, you see it in like cafe. That cafe style pie with the tomato relish, I will rate that.
I've never done
tomato relish. Yes.
Give
it a crack. Give it a crack.
Yeah, no, I've just
tomato relish pairs really well. And now if I'm choosing between anything tomato variety, I'm choosing the relish over the tomato sauce. Tomato relish deserves some love.
Yeah, righto. Well, with that, I think we'll leave it there. I want to thank my guests for joining me today, JJ and David Yang. Thank you.
No, thank you, John. I like being on Pint, buddy.
Yeah, no, this is great. So if you like this episode, please tell 2 friends in 2020. And don't forget to keep up with all of our gimmicks on Instagram at pint.party. And you can, follow us there, and we'll let you know when the new episodes come out and stuff like that. You can also be sure to, listen to us on Spotify, on iTunes, where anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, you just search Pint Party and you can find us. And if you're looking for something to watch kind of like, throughout the week, I'm also streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/Pint Party. Yesterday was a bit of a schmozzle because yesterday I tried to stream Blender, me learning Blender, and I thought that'd be fun. And then my computer shit the bed because it was.
I was gonna say you were loading up Blender, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna take a lot out of you.
Well, no, it didn't take much. It was actually it was running okay. And then, but having Blender, the streaming software, and then I tried to open my temperature diagnostic software to see what my temperatures were. That's when it shit the bed. And it was like, no, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I probably won't be running Blender again because that made my laptop run hot trying to do all of that. So I'm probably not going to do that anymore. But also, if you before that, I was streaming SimCity, which I've now finished because we built Party Town. It is now complete. And then we burned it to the ground. So you can watch. You can watch all of that over on our YouTube channel. So if you just search for Pint Party Retro Gimmicks, you'll find the playlist. And there's honestly, I think, because all of it's up now. I uploaded it. It's in 10 parts. And I think there's probably in total about 20 odd hours of content there. So if you're looking for something to watch, in the background as you work from home, 8 hours a day, that's 2.5 days worth of content there for you to watch, in the background. And it's all pretty chill. It's just me building roads and commenting on oh, should I put a stadium here? Should I put a stadium there? And occasionally I go off on tangents about kebab demons and TV shows and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty good watch to put on in the background. It's a good little bit of background noise, and I'm hoping to continue that again. Yeah, I'm continue that into the future with probably another game. I'll probably find something that won't make my computer kill itself. Yeah, with that, this has been Pint Party. Cheers.
Cheers.
This podcast is part of the Hard Effect Podcast Network. For more of this and our other podcasts, head to hardeffectstudios.com.au.